funny!
Funny, I bought this house.
Imagine buying your dream house, signing every paper, holding the keys, only to return a few weeks later and find another family living comfortably inside the home you just bought, living there like they own the place, with paperwork they swear is real. That's what happened to Brandon Hale, a black man who worked and fought for the life he'd finally built, only to have it snatched by a woman who believed her clipboard made her queen of the neighborhood. And the worst part? She sold his house without him ever knowing. But today, she was about to learn she picked the wrong man, the wrong home, and the wrong lie to hide behind. Brandon Hale had been waiting weeks for this day. After closing on his first home, a clean one-story property on a quiet road in Willowcrest Ridge, he'd spent time finishing a final contract at work and gathering everything he needed before officially moving in. The deed was signed, the payments processed, the keys tucked safely in his pocket. Everything about the purchase was legitimate, authenticated, and verified. Today was supposed to be simple. Pull into his driveway, unlock his own front door, and step into the future he'd worked years to earn. Instead, the moment his car rolled up to the curb, his excitement twisted into confusion. There was a minivan parked in his driveway. Children's bicycles lay on the grass. A doormat he'd never seen sat on the porch. Light flickered through the living room curtains he didn't own. Brandon dragged his suitcase out of the trunk, heart thudding. Maybe the realtor mixed up a lockbox? Maybe contractors were still doing work? But when he reached the porch, a woman he'd never seen opened the door with a startled gasp, 2 kids peeking behind her legs. "Can I help you?" she asked, clutching a set of keys. His keys. Brandon took a breath. "Yeah, this is my house." The woman's face drained. Her husband, Peter Langston, appeared behind her holding paperwork. "This home was sold to us 3 weeks ago. We finalized everything with the HOA president. She handled the transfer personally." That name chilled him instantly. Linda Marwood, the woman who ran the Willowcrest Association board like a personal kingdom. Before he could respond, the family hurriedly called her, whispering into the phone. Not 3 minutes later, a white SUV screeched to a stop. Linda climbed out with her clipboard hugged to her chest, chin raised high like she owned the street. The second she saw Brandon, her expression curdled. "You again." She snapped. "I already told these homeowners someone like you couldn't possibly own this property. Stop harassing this family." Brandon stiffened. "I bought this home, legally." "Save it," she barked, waving him off. "You people always try this nonsense. Officers will handle you." She pulled out her phone and aggressively dialed 911, loudly reporting an intruder refusing to leave. The Langston family looked overwhelmed, confused, but terrified of crossing her. Have you ever bought something fair and square, only to have someone try to steal it right out from under you? What would you do if you showed up to your new home and another family was already living inside it? Before we go further, what city or country are you watching from right now? Drop it in the comments. We love seeing where our viewers are tuning in from. And if you believe no one should lose their home because of a racist HOA scammer, go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to Story Arc for stories that put fraudsters exactly where they belong. Brandon stood his ground as distant sirens grew louder. 2 police cruisers turning onto the street, lights cutting through the afternoon calm. And with that, the confrontation truly began. The first cruiser stopped at the curb and 2 officers stepped out. One tall, broad-shouldered man with a calm posture, Officer Nathan Briggs, and a woman with her hand resting near her holster, already scanning the scene, Officer Riley Carterton. Linda rushed toward them before they even reached the walkway. "Officers, thank goodness you're here," she exclaimed dramatically, pointing straight at Brandon as if he were a wild animal on the loose. "That man is trespassing and threatening these innocent homeowners. He refuses to leave." The officers turned to Brandon. Officer Riley Carterton spoke first. "Sir, we need to understand what's happening. Do you live here?" Brandon lifted his hands slightly in a peaceful gesture. "Yes, my name is Brandon Hale. I purchased this property weeks ago. Today is my move-in day. I don't know who these people are or how they got inside." Linda scoffed loudly. "Listen to him, just making things up as he goes. This house was abandoned, and as HOA president, I handled the sale. These folks bought it fair and square." The Langston family didn't look so sure anymore. Peter Langston cleared his throat nervously. We were told the previous owner forfeited the home. We paid in full. She showed us all the paperwork. Officer Nathan Briggs stepped closer to Brandon. Do you have proof of ownership? ID? Documents? Brandon nodded, pulling out a folder he prepared during closing. Original deed, transfer confirmations, copies of bank wires, and the official county-stamped purchase record. He handed everything over calmly. The officers examined the papers, flipping through dates, signatures, official seals. Linda rolled her eyes. Those are fake, obviously. Officer Riley Carterton shot her a sharp glance. Ma'am, let us do our job. Next, the papers from the Langston family were reviewed. Handwritten signatures that didn't match any official formatting, no county seal, and a transfer letter printed on generic paper with an HOA header instead of government documentation. Officer Nathan Briggs's brow furrowed. Where did you get these documents? Peter swallowed. She gave them to us. Both officers turned to Linda. Her posture stiffened. I facilitated the sale because the property was vacant. It's part of my authority as HOA president. No, it's not, Officer Riley Carterton replied flatly. The tension shifted instantly. The family stepped back, eyes widening as the realization hit. They had been scammed. Linda's voice cracked. This is ridiculous. He's lying. They're lying. Everyone's lying except me. The officers exchanged one final look. Then Officer Nathan Briggs spoke. Ma'am, don't go anywhere. We're going to need backup. Linda's face began to twitch, and she took a small step backward. Linda's breath quickened as the officers moved slightly to flank her. Officer Nathan Briggs lifted his radio and called for a fraud unit to respond to the scene. The moment he released the button, Linda pivoted sharply toward her SUV. Nope, Brandon muttered, stepping forward as she tried to bolt down the walkway. Ma'am, stop! Officer Riley Carterton shouted, but Linda ignored her. Clipboard clutched under her arm. She sprinted toward her vehicle with the frantic wobble of someone who had never run a day in her life. Brandon reacted on instinct, intercepting her just before she reached the driver's door. She jerked back, startled. Get out of my way, she shrieked, swinging her clipboard wildly. I'm the HOA president. I can do whatever I want. Not today, Brandon replied, gripping her wrist just as she tried to shove him aside. The officers closed in instantly. Officer Nathan Briggs grabbed her other arm, twisting it gently but firmly behind her back as Officer Riley Carterton snapped handcuffs around her wrists. Linda let out a piercing scream. This is harassment. I'm protecting community standards. He's the one trespassing. Arrest him! Neither officer paid attention to her theatrics now. Peter Langston stepped forward, clutching the fraudulent documents. Officer, we paid her our entire savings. Are you saying none of this is real? Officer Riley Carterton nodded solemnly. I'm afraid so. These are not legal transfer documents. You were misled. Marissa Langston lowered herself onto the porch step, tears streaking down her face as she hugged Ellie and Toby. We didn't know. We trusted her. Brandon exhaled, anger and sympathy mixing in his chest. None of this is your fault, he said quietly. You were targeted just like I was. Linda continued to thrash until the officers guided her firmly toward the cruiser. Her voice cracked as she screamed at the neighborhood gathering outside their homes. You all should thank me. I was keeping this place safe. This community deserves better than him. Enough, Officer Nathan Briggs snapped. She fell silent for the first time. Backup arrived, another cruiser and Detective Harmon Sloan, who began separating everyone for statements. Brandon provided every piece of documentation he had, along with the timeline of when he purchased the home and why he delayed moving in. The Langston family provided receipts, messages from Linda, and access to their emails. Detective Harmon Sloan studied them carefully. This isn't just a misunderstanding, he said finally. This looks deliberate. Linda, sitting cuffed in the back of the cruiser, froze. And I have a strong feeling, he continued, that this isn't her first time. Detective Harmon Sloan wasted no time. While officers kept Linda restrained in the back of the cruiser, he requested access to the HOA office records. Two neighbors, fed up with her tyranny, quickly pointed the officers toward the small building behind the community pool where Linda kept files only she was qualified to manage. Officers returned with boxes of Linda's files, revealing forged letters, fake notices, and lists of homeowners she targeted. Detective Harmon Sloan skimmed through the evidence and confirmed she'd built an organized scam using falsified debts, violations, and abandonment claims. The Langston family looked devastated. She did this deliberately, Peter whispered. For a long time, Detective Harmon Sloan replied. Two officers stepped aside with Brandon and the family. County records matched his deed exactly. The sale was fraudulent and would be voided. Sir, Officer Nathan Briggs said, handing back his documents, this house is yours. You'll get full access once we're done. Relief washed through Brandon, along with anger for what the family had suffered. Detective Harmon Sloan assured them they weren't at fault. The state would return their money. When officers opened the cruiser door, Linda tried one last desperate plea. You can't arrest me. I run this neighborhood. No, Detective Harmon Sloan corrected, pulling out the formal arrest form. You ran a criminal enterprise. They read her charges one by one. Real estate fraud, forgery, fraudulent transfer of property, identity theft, conspiracy, theft by deception. Her voice broke. Her voice broke. Mascara smeared. She was finally silent. As the cruiser drove away, Brandon stood on his porch, the porch that was rightfully his, breathing in steadily. The nightmare was ending. And tomorrow, he would finally move into the home he earned. If you believe scammers like Linda deserve every consequence they face, hit that like button and subscribe to Story Arc, because standing up to corruption starts with telling these stories.